doing today, Joe?
Coop, I'm doing great, man. How's it going?
Good. I'm just I'm wearing a black T-shirt, and Joe always tells me never to wear black because I fade into the backdrop. But this is from GSL Painters, and that's Jeremy Fife. He gave me this shirt, and if you want to give me a T-shirt, I will gladly wear it. So you can email me at the Coop Tank at yahoo.com. If it's black, it will piss Joe off, but that's okay. And Joe also, well, Joe, I'm gonna have this too, Joe. We have people. This is something Joe created. It's called Contap. Joe, why don't you tell the viewers what Contap is?
Yeah, thanks, Coop. Let me talk about that real quick. Make sure I don't have some horrible feedback going on. Okay. So Contap is a series of NFC devices, and what that means basically is the NFC tap technology you see when you pay with a smartphone or something like that.
Joe, you're really echoing. You're really echoing.
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that,
okay.
everybody.
Now start again. Tell us about Contap without the echo.
Starting over without all the reverb. So yeah, Contap is a company where basically we empower individuals and businesses to microcast their most important information instantly with a simple tap or scan. So whether you're sharing a brand, a message, a moment, a podcast, YouTube, pretty much anything with a digital location, you can share instantly on one of those cool wristbands or a key fob, or we have table stands. We have all kinds of cool things coming out. And it's just really cool. There's a lot of features that I don't have time to get into, but learn more at contap.com, CONNTAP, or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to tell you more and give you a tour of the software.
And Joe, why don't you also tell us a little about Sweet Recording? Because I know a lot of people are doing podcasts now, so they should probably check it out. And Joe is the man. I'm going to tell you, we're streaming this live because I hate editing, and Joe's very particular. He used to edit shit, and I was like, Joe, I don't need it to be edited, and that's why I like this. But Joe, tell everyone about Sweet Recording.
Sure thing. Thanks, Coop. So Sweet Recording is where Coop and I are right now. It's a studio. It's content and a podcast studio here in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, where we help brands and businesses to leverage the power of podcasts, audio content, social media content, live streaming like this one. Podcasting, content creation, I think there's a lot of potential for brands and businesses to tap into that stuff, both from a marketing standpoint, obviously, and for business development. I think it's a great way to make connections, strengthen connections. It's a lot of fun, and it's a really efficient way to create content. And I would love to talk with you about how we can do that together. And I would love to show you the space sometime. So reach out to me on LinkedIn if you'd like. You can also contact us anytime, hello@sweetrecording.com, or visit us on the web at sweetrecording.com. That's SUITE. And with that, Coop, take it away.
All right. So I said in the beginning, this is from my mom. If you haven't heard the story, my mom graduated Temple University in 1952. Okay. She was the only female in her marketing classes. And she had a job with Campbell's Soup by the time she got out. And then she worked for a while. She didn't even wear an engagement ring to her interview because she thought that the guys wouldn't hire her because she probably would quit and have kids. And she waited. She had kids. And then she rose up, she became a housewife, and then when we were old enough to watch ourselves, she went back to work. So I've always had a very soft spot in my heart for women business owners, and that's why I've been having these things in honor of my mom. And today we have three amazing women. I can't say that they're just amazing people. I hate to put them in a pigeonhole of business women because they aren't. They're business people. But a lot of you assholes out there will call them business women, but they're business women, business people. And we have from Workplace HCM, we have Marlie Stock. How you doing, Marlie?
Doing great. How are you, Coop?
I'm doing good. And this next guest, a guest canceled on me, and she filled in like an hour ago. It's from Wicked Wealthy Woman. It's Gina Marie. How you doing, Gina?
I'm doing great, Coop. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
And then someone I met at the Soundplex where we do comedy over there. She was at a Jersey Man event from Inzpire Agency. It's Jacqueline Renan. How you doing, Jacqueline?
I'm doing great, Coop. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right. See that great group of people. And I got Marlie, we're going to start with you. Tell us a little about what you do and what Workplace HCM is.
Yeah, so Workplace HCM is essentially a outsourced HR and payroll company. We help small to mid-sized businesses make their processes efficient and help out with their employee relations issues. We obviously process payroll, but we provide an HR consulting service that I pretty much support businesses from an HR standpoint on all levels. So you name it, people have questions, people need a handbook, people need assistance with like terminations or recruiting. Our team steps in and kind of partners with those small business owners who can't afford to have an HR department. So that's a little bit about what we do.
Okay. And Gina, I really want to hear about Wicked Wealthy Woman because I love that. I love alliteration. It's one of my favorite things. But tell us about what you do at Wicked Wealthy Woman.
I love it. It's all good. It's all good. People assume it's women plural, but it all starts with the individual. And that's why it's Wicked Wealthy Woman. And it's not just about wealth. It's funny when I go places, people just assume that it's about money. But it's not. It's about being wealthy in your mind, your body, and soul. So I'm an intuitive life and business coach. And why life and business is because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And life affects business, business affects life. So I help individuals. I was listening to one of your podcasts, Coop, and you were talking about time management. And I actually help people with that. It's not about time management, it's about personal management. And people get in their own way, they self sabotage, they don't even realize why. And so what I do is I help clients get to the root cause of what's holding them back, which is old conditioning and programming from wounds and trauma and conditioning and programming from childhood to help you get out of your own way and create the success that you're meant to have and be.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Jacqueline, and it's Inzpire. Tell us about Inzpire Agency.
Well, we like to work with businesses that are inspiring conscious change in the world. And we do that through branding, graphic design, and web design. I'm coming with 20 plus years of agency experience in the graphic print realm. And we're finding that we work with a lot of nonprofits lately, but we really do service any mission-driven business with all of their print or web needs.
Okay, so it's a very vast crowd today. I love it. There's so many different areas. We're going to start with you, Gina. How did you end up becoming a wicked wealthy woman? Now, you don't just wake up and say I'm a wicked wealthy woman.
No, actually, there's a lot of healing in order to get where I am today. But it started about when I was 16 or 17. I signed my name on the dotted line in direct sales. I knew I was an entrepreneur. I had a paper out when I was 11. But I couldn't figure out what it was that I was meant to be and do in the world until I was in one of those direct sales companies about 8 years ago and heard a speaker called John Maxwell. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with him, but he was a speaker and at one of the conventions. And I heard and learned about the coaching world. And what I found out through being in the industry of direct sales was that it wasn't about selling a product that I loved. What I loved was helping women to be successful. So I loved having a team of women and helping them be successful and find out what was holding them back. And then when I saw this coaching program, I just dove right in and then into other different modalities because I was still doing the work, reading the books and listening to the podcast, and would take 2 steps forward and go 3 steps back, and found out deeper into different modalities to help people heal to achieve the success that they want.
Okay. How about you, Jacqueline? What's your I know you're also a musician, but how'd you end up running your own business?
Well, I went to school for graphic design, and I feel like I'm one of the few people that I graduated with that's probably still in the industry 20 plus years later. I had always been a freelance contractor or running my own small business as I got further into it. And right before COVID, I was actually going in-house at an agency that was a startup that needed some help. And it was so much work there that I started looking for a freelance designer to help me with the overflow. And that led me to meeting my future business partner. And we had launched a couple of projects, found that we loved working together, took her to dinner one night and said, would you like to join forces so that we could service larger companies and really take care of all of their marketing needs versus just me alone or her alone. And after that, the world shut down. And during that time, we built our agency website. And within just like a week or two, we had our first big client that needed a rebrand. They were a recovery center in the Pocono Mountains that needed like a new logo, a new website, and all of their print materials. So we were off and running like right from the get-go. And 5 years in, I still love working with her and the team that we've built.
That's awesome. How about you, Marlie? What's your path? Because we've talked at events, but I really don't know your background.
Yeah, so I have an interesting kind of realization story, if you will, on what I wanted to do with my career and life. When I was like 16, I used to work at Sky Zone, if you've ever heard of that. I was actually a birthday party host there, and my dream was to become a teacher. I had so many inspiring teachers throughout my life that I was like, I need to be that person for people, because it just had such a profound impact on me as a child growing into a teen, into an adult. So working at Sky Zone actually made me realize I love working with people, but kids not so much in such a large quantity. Dealing with 30 kids plus 30 parents plus, you know, all of the time management, and just you're just basically running a birthday party. It made me realize, whoa, this is a lot. I don't know if I could be a teacher in that capacity. So when I went to college, I went to Rutgers University. I actually declared my major in HR, which isn't common, and now I'm in HR, just because I loved the work. I love the idea of helping other adults and helping employees kind of navigate, you know, the trials and tribulations of work. It's definitely daunting. So throughout, you know, all of those classes, I feel like I just found my passion, and I love helping people. So after college, I went to a manufacturing facility called Sunbasket. Worked there for about 4 years, and I just honed my skills in HR. I learned everything I could, and now I have a great opportunity to do outsourced HR at Workplace HCM for like 80 plus HR clients. So we pretty much help them with all of their needs, and having that ability to learn more about all the industries, helping business owners and their employees throughout, you know, their day-to-day activities. It's been really rewarding.
All right, and it's funny. Paige, who works with you, Paige says hi. She said, "Hey, Mar. Hey, Paige." So everyone, you all seem happy and you like your job, okay? And we always get that. You always see that on people like hashtag love my job, you know. And I always joke like a guy could be shoveling shit. He's like hashtag love my job. Like, you really love your job. But so I'm going to ask you, and we'll start with you, Jacqueline. What do you love about your job?
I would say it's actually a recent new love, and that is networking. We had built our agency solely on referrals and word of mouth for the first 5 years. My business partner had a baby in September, and we kind of like stopped our pipeline for a moment. We didn't know what life and business would look like on the other side of such a big life change. So after she started back working again after the baby, I said, well, what would happen if I actually like put myself into the world and really started networking for us? And so that visibility piece and meeting new people has been the thing that I'm absolutely loving the most. It was like a social aspect of my life. I'm behind the screen so many hours for so many years. I didn't know how much I was missing meeting new people all the time. Like, I am fully loving it.
Okay, that's awesome. How about you, Marlie? What do you love about your job?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely echo what Jacqueline said. I feel like networking has been a really, really, really fun and rewarding aspect of working at Workplace HCM. But for me personally, I feel like our company culture is really great. We've got a lot of really great people who are passionate about what they do, and it's super inspiring to work with them every day. Other than that, I really like the fact that Workplace HCM always values education, and supports people in that way. They pretty much helped me get my SHRM certification. They pay for all of my classes and support me with any events that I want to go to. And that just, you know, really helps my professional development and helps me service my clients better. So it's awesome.
Okay. How about you, Gina? What do you love about being a wicked, wealthy woman?
It's funny when you say that. I love hearing it. What I love is that I do the work for myself first. The healing that I do in the world with my clients, it's all about me taking that and learning and growing and evolving myself first so that I can show up my best high conscious self for me, for my clients, for my family, for my friends and colleagues. And so then next, what it is being able to see somebody get out of their own way and heal and have them have such an aha that they didn't realize that everything is always internal. And a lot of times that we're pointing a finger at external things of why we don't get the next client or why we got the red light and got pissed off about it. It's actually nothing external. It's all internal. And so I help people to really see that. And when they start to see that, they get to see how they get to live an empowered life and that they're in control of the way they show up, not by default of the things that happen outside of us. And that is life changing. And it gives me goosebumps every time I get to talk about it. and provide that transformation for clients. And then, like the beautiful ladies were saying, is connection. Everything for me is deep level connection. I have my own networking group. It's called Wicked Wealthy Women Connect, because that is the way that we change this world, is by having deep level connections with people, supporting, loving, and helping each other. That's what I love about my job.
That's awesome. You all love your job. That's good. And
Yeah.
Rachel from not Rachel Fair, Rachel from Workplace says business queens. She called you all business queens, and so okay. So you love your jobs. I said it's a vast field, but everything each one of you does is there's a ton of you. Okay, you're going to find a ton of coaches. You're going to find a ton of graphic design, rebranding. You're going to find a ton of work. I mean, you can go to an event, you find like 5 work people that do outsource HR. So we're going to stay with you, Gina. With the coaching. Why? If I need a coach, or if my wife needs a coach, or my wife wants to be a wicked wealthy woman, she's wicked, but I don't know. I'm joking. She's why is someone going to come to you when there's a big choice of people? What makes you special, and why am I going to give you my business?
That's a great question. So a couple things. First of all, I'm beyond excited that coaches are becoming the norm. And there can't be too many of them. It's not competition for me. It's about collaboration, and that everyone deserves to have a coach. And so I love that there are so many coaches out there now. Second of all, is that I'm not going to connect with everyone, and not everyone's going to connect with me. And that's why it's so great that there's so many of them. But how I stand out differently from the group is that I get to the root cause of what's going on. And it's always subconsciously, it's your nervous system, things that people don't even realize. So the work that I do helps all the other work, the systems and processes that you have in place. You procrastinate, right? There's nothing wrong or bad about you. It's old programming and conditioning in your system. So the program that you have that you need to run for marketing or for HR, and you get in your way of not doing it and accomplishing it, it's because of programming in your body that's holding you back from actually doing it. So I get to the root cause of what's holding you back, help you heal that, and get to the goal that you're working on. That's how I'm different.
Okay, Marlie, how are we? What's different? Hold on, that's Ken Aston. I went to high school with him. He's down there in Baltimore. What's up, Ken? Thanks for watching. Marlie, what? Why am I coming to you? Except besides you guys give me pens and you're going to give me a T-shirt. But why am I coming to you? And by the way, they're sponsoring the next Cocktails with Cooper, which is Wednesday, May 7th at Splits Bar and Grill. So why am I coming to Workplace HCM?
Yeah, I think Workplace HCM just has a different approach to business. I definitely feel that Jacqueline and Gina, and you as well, Coop, all have that similar mindset in saying that customer service is so important, and the way that we treat our clients, providing that exceptional service and going the extra mile for our people is just, it's so impactful on a client's experience with our company. And that's what we do different. If you call our office, you're getting people in Marlton, New Jersey, people that are, building relationships with you. Even if you're just running payroll with us, they're asking you about their dog, like your dog and your vacation and like fun things like that. And our team, our HR team, I partner with Rachel Docknell, who's in the chat. We take it kind of a step further and we build those relationships. We go on site. We're a little bit different than maybe your cookie cutter kind of HR service. We do HR consulting. So we're super flexible in what we can do and how we offer our, best practices and advice and resources to our clients. So we just prioritize customer service and that human aspect of the business.
Okay. How about you, Jacqueline?
I would say me personally, I'm very intuitive and I'm very good at listening to a client and really getting to the essence of their story, making it much easier to do the branding piece of whatever work we're doing with them. And then as an organization, we have this saying of you either care or you don't. And we really only like to work with organizations that also really care, because we really care and we show up and we get involved and we're deeply enmeshed in everything that we're doing. A lot of times we're acting as like a full-fledged partner where we're very entwined with the agency that we're working with. Like we really are a strategic partner. So I think it's truly caring, being intuitive, and getting to the essence of the matter.
Okay, so this is going to be a 2-part question, but I'm going to do a follow-up with something. we all learn every day. Okay. And I'll get to how we do that because we all have different ways to do that. But I'm going to say, what is something, and we'll start with you, Jacqueline. What is something that you've learned in the last few years about the business world? Because things change after the pandemic. I'm talking. What is something that you've learned about the business world?
About the business world, probably that I hear many, many people saying how overwhelmed they are. That seems to be really common, whether it's friends or business people, or both. So I think that there's so much happening so quickly. You're so stimulated all the time with social media and emails and text messages that it's very easy to get overwhelmed and overconsumed, and really needing to be able to separate to have life happening and then to have all these business connections happening. Really finding a way to ground yourself so that you are not overwhelmed. I stopped saying that. I heard too many people say it that it became something I just took out of my language. And by not saying it, I'm not imprinting it over and over again, that I'm constantly feeling this way that I don't want to feel, because we're programming, like what Gina Marie had said. It's like we're actively running a lot of programs, and I think overwhelm is one that's happening in business constantly.
Okay. How about you, Gina? What do you follow up with Jacqueline said?
Yeah, well, I'm sitting here shaking. I'm like, yes, Jacqueline, you're hitting it like this. For me, it's, so I just wrote a book and launched the book last month, and it's called F the Hustle. Freedom is in the healing. And that's, we have such a culture of hustle that's the way to create success. And that's what I see in the world right now, and with entrepreneurship, because people are a lot of times are in it by themselves or smaller companies. And so they feel like they have to burn the candle at both ends of the stick in order to be successful. And what I help people realize is that actually when you slow down, you speed up. When you rest, you can receive. And so it's almost like so frustrating to me. Like I want to shake people, but they don't know, right? It's conditioning and programming to think that you must hustle in order to be successful. So that's what I see a lot out there right now. And I welcome it because I want to help you heal that.
Okay. How about you, Marlie? It was something you've learned in the last few years.
So I definitely echo what you guys both said. Work-life balance is so important, but also my approach is a little different. I'm a bit earlier in my career, so I wanted to kind of touch on being adaptable and flexible in business. I came from obviously an HR role where I serviced one company, and now I'm in an outsourced capacity. So being adaptable and helping out many different clients in many different industries has showed me, you kind of need to tailor yourself to your client. But it also kind of circles back to that work-life balance, because I'm working with the business owners who are feeling burnt out. And, our service kind of provides that efficiency and that relief where business owners don't have to be like, oh my God, like I have so much paperwork, I have payroll, I have all of these things to get done. And then you have life afterwards. We kind of step in and we help in that capacity. So that's something that I've learned, to be adaptable and just kind of just consider all the factors.
Okay. Let's keep on the subject of learning. They say we learn something every day. And that's the thing. I do a bit of my act where I talk about, I was walking through ShopRite. I saw a guy with a shirt that said beach bound. And I said, what beach are you going to? And he said, I'm going home. And I said, well, your shirt says beach bound. He goes, so I go, well, then you're a fucking liar. And I learned that day that a bag of frozen vegetables will take down the swelling of your black eye. And that's just something that I do. But that's what I've learned. But we learn. Every day learns. You all seem very thirsty for knowledge. So Jacqueline, how do you learn every day? Do you listen to podcasts? You listen to read books? I mean, we want to learn every day. Knowledge is so important and always constantly learning. How do you learn every day?
I would say I take a walk every morning. I make sure I go hiking, and I'm usually listening to something, all different types of content, from podcasts to YouTube videos, or a book on tape. That's probably my favorite way. I've realized I need to be in motion, and I learn better when I'm actively also doing something physical. And then I think you're involving both sides of your brain, just simply walking and listening. So that works great for me.
Okay. How about you, Gina? How are you learning every day?
Well, of course, listening to podcasts and books and whatnot, but the best way for me to learn is because I believe we all have the answers internally and we're so connected to the external that we're disconnected from ourselves. Like we're neck uppers, just living in our brain and analyzing. So for me, it's self-reflection, always, always, always going internal, getting quiet, meditating, and hearing the answers and connecting.
Okay. How about you, Marlie?
Yeah, I definitely learn the best when I'm working with my peers. So a little bit of a different approach. I go into the office every day. So having that capability to bounce ideas off of my coworkers or other HR professionals or just professionals in general at networking events or conferences and things like that, I feel like that is how I learn, the most important aspects of business and relationship building and all that great stuff, because without other people and connecting with other people, I feel like I would be a little bit isolated. I might focus more on like social media or things like that, but I feel like learning from other people is so important.
Okay. So here's the plans where you get to talk to yourself. Someone's asking a question. Okay, we'll take a question. How do your personal interests align with your career? I've never done that, Joe. That's pretty cool. People are asking. People are doing my job for me. Hey, people, just put all the shit up on there. Don't worry. I won't do my job. I'll just say no. Okay, we're gonna answer Rachel. Who I met Rachel. We knew each other from LinkedIn at a pancake breakfast for the Rotary in Marlton a few weeks ago. And my wife got a great haircut and shampoo for like $35 in a silent auction. It's like $100 value. It was amazing. Okay, well, Gina, how do your personal interests align with your career?
Well, this is interesting because I struggled academically all of my life through childhood. And so thought I wasn't smart, thought I wasn't a great learner. But now being in the industry that I'm in, all I want to do is dive in and learn. And so I want to learn how I can heal, how I can move through. And so, like I was saying before, it's always about I'm learning something for myself to grow me first, and then I'm able to share that with clients. So that's how it aligns, is that it's about how can I heal me? What can I learn from me about the brain, about the nervous system, about the soul, and then be able to share that with clients and others that I'm with.
Okay. How about you, Marlie?
Yeah. Being in HR is interesting. It can be a little bit daunting. It can be scary, honestly. And I think what kind of keeps me going is the alignment between my personal interest and HR. And that is just ultimately helping other people. Just in any capacity that I can. If someone needs help, I want to be the person that, can be that person to talk to if they're going through something, or if they have, a need for like even something as simple as like a leave. It's a little bit scary for the employee and the employer. So I like to come in. I like to help people through those processes and provide that relief. So yeah, it just goes back to helping people.
Okay. How about you, Jacqueline?
I would say I'm a lifelong learner. So whatever phase I'm in, I seem to accidentally attract clients that are doing the same thing or need the same help or a similar skill set. So as I'm learning how to do it for myself, I'm also working and helping them learn how to do it at the same time. So there's usually like an overlap. I'll get a lot of clients that like all have the same issue or are all in the same industry. And then it starts to happen. It's like a spiral effect of more and more of them. So I become an expert at that thing. And then I can take that expertise to the client.
Okay. I just learned actually that I should outsource sometimes for questions. That's a really good question. I wrote that down. I'm going to use that question again. So, because I use it in this question. So anyway, now we get to talk about ourselves. Okay. And I know, if you're on LinkedIn, everyone talks about themselves. They're going to tell you how great they are. It's just they basically want to say it should be like, look at me instead of LinkedIn sometimes, I think, because people, all they do is blow their own horn. That's what my mom would say. But now's your chance to blow your own horn. And we're going to start with you, Jacqueline. What is one thing in the last year that, one, you're personally proud of, and two, you're professionally proud of?
Personally proud of that I'm really putting myself out there and making myself much more visible than being behind the screen all the time. Like personally, I didn't realize that there was this aspect of myself that wasn't being stimulated by the new connection piece. So that has been very exciting. And then professionally, that I'm realizing I shouldn't try to multitask as much as I was, and that my concentration and focus is much more effective when I slow down. Like I talk about my brain sometimes as being a browser with too many tabs open. And I've realized that that's like not a way to get anything done. That'll lead to the overwhelmed feeling. So just go slower, do one thing at a time and really focus on it. And usually I can be really fast if I do that. So I'm proud that I'm learning this about myself and I'm applying it professionally.
Okay. How about you, Gina?
I love that, Jacqueline. Personally, I left an unhappy and unhealthy marriage of over 22 years that looked great on the outside. And so it wasn't easy. A lot of people would say, why the hell are you leaving? It's, a lot of people have it a lot worse and a lot harder. And so I'm really proud that I left and that I'm taking care of me and I'm on my own and taking care of me. I'm really personally proud of that. Professionally, I have two big things. Like I said, I wrote a book. I was the one who her dad gave up on her in high school and said to my mom, she's yours. You can take her, because I went to summer school after every single year of high school, including senior year. When I walked across, I didn't have anything in my flap or whatever it was. I had no diploma. I had to go to summer school after my senior year in order to get it. And so I had an old story that I was not smart. I was not good enough. I always felt like an imposter in any job that I did. And I wrote a book and I launched it. And it's not about the grammar. It's not about the punctuation. It's about the opportunity to help someone heal. And even if it's just one person, and show other people what's possible when you get out of your own way. So there's that. And then because of the way that I struggled academically and was always told I was too much and tried to quiet and dim myself to fit in and never felt like I fit in anywhere, looked like I had a shit ton of confidence, but internally I struggled and had an internal battle always, and wanted to create, open up my own school or my own church, because I felt like there should be somewhere where people can go and feel like they fit in and learn and have connection. And I'm in the process of opening a brick and mortar that's called the Wicked House. And I'm doing that.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. The Wicked House. I like the name.
Yeah.
How about you, Marlie? What's something personal and professional you're proud of in the last year?
Yeah, for sure. I would say personally, I can lightly echo what Gina said. I've been through some interesting times in the last few months. And I've recently got my own apartment, which is really cool. I'm obviously in it right now. And it's my first time living alone, paying for it alone, and I'm doing great. So personally, that's a huge goal that I finally kind of checked off my list. And then I kind of have two professional proud ofs, if you will. Really proud of my ability to get my SHRM certification. So it's a little daunting to get a certification in HR. There's a huge test, a lot of preparation and things like that. So when I received that within the last year, it really just helped me hone my skills in HR, learn more about what I want and how I can be a good leader. And then secondly, I joined a networking group, if you will. I won't shout them out because I'm not sure if I'm able to, but I joined a networking group and I was given an opportunity to lead the group. And it's been a little bit rocky, but enjoying that growth period where you're kind of getting through it, you're getting everything together and things are finally coming together. And the group is feeling a little bit more supported and structured. So I'm really proud of that and the accomplishments I've made with my leadership team over there. So, yeah.
Okay. You know what group's really supportive is the South Jersey women, the business network. And I'm Pennsylvania. I'm going to say now, I'm going to talk about that because I think it's great. All of a sudden, before the pandemic, I mean, I came back from LA and I did online networking, but there wasn't a lot of women groups. And now, you have Kelly Wernersbach does so much for the female communities. NABO, you have Melissa Beach does her event. Susie Pertowski does an event. You have Joe Colantonio. There's a real support of women and women networking groups. And I think it's awesome because it is a different level. But we'll start with you, Gina, because you're the wicked wealthy woman. Why do you think after the pandemic, and especially in the last 2 years, there's been such a explosion of these female networking groups? And I love it. And I hate when guys go, well, why can't I come? It's like, because it's female. Because for years, like my mom couldn't go to like the martini lunches with the guys. It's changed. I'm like, so shut the fuck up. All right. Just let them have their time because they deserve it. But where do you think the explosion of all these groups came from? Why do you think it started, Gina?
Well, I think, you're saying, after the pandemic, because people during the pandemic were loving and enjoying that disconnect, right? The time to slow down and really connect with family. But then also when, and a lot of people shifted in industries and what they were doing during that time as well. And so coming out of it, they really realized, I believe, the importance of deep level connection. And that's why, I started my own networking group. And because it's so important to have that connection over competition, the collaboration with like-minded women. And it's more so about just business. It's about really getting to know Marlie or Jacqueline on a personal level. So that way, when we walk out of the room, we're able to scream and shout their name, that when you need this person, I'm like, hell yeah, this is who you need, because we have a deep level connection. That's what it is.
Okay. How about you, Jacqueline? What do you think it is? Because you're newer to networking. So this is something new for you.
But I would say, well, because of the pandemic, I would pretty much mirror everything Gina Marie said, in the sense that now, like, people are just dying to be out and about, I think. I don't know if they ever want to go through that intense isolation period again. So just not talking on Zoom, being in person, there's nothing as good as being in person. I don't think Zoom will ever fulfill what in-person connection will do. But what I see of why there's so many women's ones, I think women are looking for a place where they can be vulnerable. Maybe they've learned that they weren't safe in some settings to do that, but when it is just a caring group of women, and a lot of the groups really do have that vibe. I went to an event that was like sold out. It was hundreds of women, and like the whole table of people I was sitting with, like we all left as friends. Everybody like cried at different points during the day when people were sharing on a deep level. And I think that we all start to see each other in the stories that are shared, and you don't feel alone anymore. And you realize that the struggles you're having, like so many other people are too. So we're all just removing that facade and wanting to like show up as our authentic, genuine selves. And when we do that, it becomes really easy for other people to see that, other women to see that, and take off their mask too. And it's like, let's all just be real. Like, this is crazy. Why are we trying to be everything to everyone? We're just wearing ourselves out when we do that. So what happens if we just show up as ourselves?
Okay. How about you, Marlie? What's your thought?
Yeah. Echoing everything that Gina and Jacqueline said, these third places kind of like disappeared when COVID happened. So everyone's isolated. There's nowhere to go. That sense of community was kind of lost. And for me, and I know for a lot of other people, not just women, find networking to kind of be that third place, a place to connect, whether it's about selling something or if it's just about, women's empowerment. And I think after COVID, a lot of people felt empowered to start their own businesses, and women started just rocking it and starting their own businesses and saying, you know what, I'm going to do this for myself. And I think that is amazing. And that's probably why there's a lot more women's networking groups at this point, just, coming together and being those new business owners or being those experts in the industry, just kind of breaking off and starting your own thing. I think that those third places, those networking events and things that, Kelly puts on are just super valuable for women to learn about themselves and each other in business and personally.
Okay. So besides the group, the female networking groups, okay, Jacqueline, how can women help to empower each other in this day and age? The group's great, and you make that contact, and I know you're very vulnerable and you're open, and that's perfect, but a group only lasts for, until the next month, so sometimes there's in between. But so what would be your suggestion, or how would you say women can help each other empower each other? What do you think? What's a good way to do that?
Well, you have to go have one-on-ones with the women you met in the networking event, or the men, whoever you met, doing the one-on-one in-person meeting and actually spending an hour or longer. Like, a lot of times it becomes really easy to hang out with someone. I go for a simple coffee and it turns into 2 hours. I find that I just like getting to know the person. Maybe we're not even talking about business for a lot of it. We're just talking about life. So really, we're going to keep saying this over and over again. It really is just like finding the connection points, telling your story, and moving from there and getting to know each other. And once you know each other, it's easy to empower each other. You just explain like, oh, they shared this. They told me this about themselves. They do this in their work. And I can just tell that they care and they show up. And they do what they say they're going to do. Like action, when people are taking action and not just saying something, it becomes the most empowered version of like how they can run things.
Okay. How about you, Marlie? How do you think women can, besides the groups, help? Because you said empowered a few times. How do you think that they can help empower each other?
Yeah, I think empowerment is really all about communication and connecting. So even if it's not in person, even if you don't know that person very well, maybe you see someone on LinkedIn, maybe you see someone on social media and they post something, and as a woman, I'm going to connect with them. I'm going to say, oh my God, that's amazing. Great job. I'm so excited that you did this, or that looks amazing. And even just those little comments can make someone feel like, wow, like someone's watching and they care. And I think that communication, whether it's in person or virtually, is so important.
How about you, Gina?
I think it's about, like Jacqueline, you guys are both saying, but the follow-up, like making sure that you follow up with someone after you leave, because how many times have we gone to networking groups and we're like, this is great, and then we leave and then we do nothing with it, right? And then focusing on service. How can I be in service of that person, taking the idea off of the sale, right? Because so many people go into networking and there's like, how can I sell? How can I sell? How can I sell? And it's more of being in service of that person and just connecting. And the way to do that is to release the wall that we have of the fear of being rejected or the fear of not being accepted or judged, and being authentic, and you will attract your people and they will be attracted to you. And that's how you grow and empower each other.
Okay. So I'm going to stay with you on this one, Gina. We talked about the groups, the female groups, and, but you go to some groups and, it's very guy driven. It's a boys club. And I've noticed that. That's one thing I like about my event. It's a very diverse crowd. We get a lot of women. We get a lot of minorities. We get a good crowd because there's no pricks. People know if you're a prick, don't show up at my event. But Gina, do you think it is still a boys club when it comes to not the female networking, but the regular networking? Do you think it's a boys club? And if you do, how do we go about changing that?
Great question. And the aspect that is, I'm not going to lie. I think, yes, obviously the old white boys groups are still out there. And with that, the women too. There are some groups that you go into that are the, I just say the old woman group too, that are very, can be cliquey, can be standoffish. And the way that I look at that and heal through that is that that's their old conditioning and programming, and think that's the way that you do networking. And so the way that I believe that you change that is you show up differently. And that's how we change, is by us showing up differently, letting our walls down, just connecting genuinely with people and attracting the people that you're meant to be around.
Okay. How about you, Marlie? Because you're still a little bit newer to networking.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I've experienced like a boys club per se. And that might just be my personality. I was in a networking group. I think I was one of 2 women out of like 30 men, which can feel like a boys club to some. And I think it's all about your perspective on how you deal with those situations, just like Gina said, how you show up to that, and how you make the most out of your time and your communications with people, and show them it doesn't matter what gender you are, you're just a person trying to do business, trying to connect and build those relationships. And I think that perspective shift, most of the time, is enough to kind of wade through those waters in those interesting group scenarios.
Okay. How about you, Jacqueline? Because as you said, you're newer to networking, so it's something that new that you've just started recently, like in the last year or two, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, really good. So, what have you noticed? Do you think it's a boys' club, and if so, how do you change that?
Well, I've gone to so many different ones. I've really been going hardcore. Like some days I would go to 3 in a day. So I was getting a taste of just like everything that was out there. But I didn't ever go into it with that mindset of like, this is a boys' club or a girls' club. But I did leave occasionally feeling actually more so about the women, that they were cliquey and not accepting of other women, that they already had like their close connections there. And I found that the men were actually much more available and open to communication than some of the women in the group. So I don't think that we need to have a change. I think, again, like what everyone has said today, just showing up as yourself and not like limiting what your experience is going to be, and just going in and seeing it for yourself. And then you find the groups that are enjoyable to you. I'm not trying to change the group. I'm trying to find the ones that are the easiest for me to be my best version of myself at. And they have men and women, and some of them are only women. And I really don't even care. I think both are fun.
Okay. Well, you tell me off air who those women are who are cliquey, and I'll throw them out of cocktails with Cooper. I'll say, get out of cocktails with Cooper, because you were mean to a Coop Tank guest.
No, I haven't been to that one, so I'm not speaking about the one you host.
Oh no, I know. Yeah, I know you can't.
I'll report back after I attend next one.
It's all right. So networking's come up a lot, and referral, and we through networking we do a lot of referring. We refer people. That's something that what is great about networking, how you build a network when you have a person for this. Like Jeremy Fife, I was talking to someone who needed a painter. I recommended Jeremy. I said, I know a painter. It was just a random conversation. Like, I can't find someone. So and I know he does a good job, and I've seen his work. So that's why I referred him. But if I don't know someone, I'm not referring them. And I mentioned this a few weeks ago. It really bothers me on Facebook when people send me a invite to like a company. Well, I don't know that company, so I'm not going to endorse that company. And I feel bad. I don't put no because I feel like a jerk, so I just let it linger. You ever just do that on Facebook, like a friend request of someone you can't stand, you just let it linger, and you don't want to say no, I don't like you. But I don't want to refer just anybody, because I'm someone who believes in integrity, and I believe that and once again, if you refer someone and they suck, they don't hear it, you do. So, Jackie, what does it take for someone, a quality or what does it take for you to refer someone wholeheartedly where you can be right behind them to go, you know what, this person is awesome? What does it take?
I probably do have to have worked with them myself in some capacity to really know what the experience of working with them is like, to be able to refer them for a work thing. I don't think there's much else. I can be getting to know someone all I want, but until I see them in certain situations, I have no idea if they're actually what they say or claim to be. I'm finding that most entrepreneurs have gotten to the point in their career where they've done really well for themselves, and that is because they are very good at what they do and they have personal integrity. So I'm starting there, but I have to go a little bit further in my own exploration of probably doing something with them to know what it's really like. So it takes a minute to get that personal referral from me, because that's my reputation at stake too.
Okay, how about you, Gina?
It's, similar, and it's values that are in alignment. I need to feel like that we're in alignment, that I can get behind what you do. I believe in what you do. I understand the value of it and see it. And like Jacqueline said, I need to have seen it in order to recommend you, and really have my heart in it. And then I'm all in.
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Marlie?
Yeah. Just like Jacqueline and Gina said, I would say relationship building is important, and also, knowing what they actually do and experiencing it firsthand. And once you finally experience it firsthand, we're looking for consistency and passion, integrity, and things like that, to just kind of solidify the fact that, okay, not only is their service great or whatever they're providing, they're great, and there's someone I can trust that I can put my name on. And it happens less often that you might like. But having those, key people, kind of your contact list, and say, hey, I got a guy, it's so important. So yeah.
Okay. So we've been talking about networking a lot and how we all love networking. And you do. You go out, you meet people, you have different avenues. Like I don't network as much anymore. I'm just burnt on a little bit. And you do get tired. I mean, like 3 days of events in a day, it's just too much.
Yeah.
And plus, some events it's going to be the same people. And and if my feeling is it's good if it's like a group of like an empowering group or a knowledge group or something like that. But then you're like, am I really going to go sit down with 4 bankers? Like I really want to have lunch with 4 bankers. I don't want to do that. Nothing against bankers, people. But I'm just, so we all know, we all like networking. I'm going to ask you, what do you not like about networking? Gina, what do you not like about networking? Because I get pissed when I walk in and they put it as this big event and all they have is like pepperoni and cheese and some crackers. I'm like, it's supposed to be a big event. I want better food than that. But what is something you don't like about networking?
That's funny, Coop. You like the food. So what don't I like about networking? Well, it's really funny because a lot of people, when people meet me, they're like, wow, you're so outgoing and you must never have a hard time meeting people. Wrong. Sometimes, because, what I dislike about networking is that uncomfortable feeling that you just need to have to go up to some random person that you've never met and just start talking to them. To me, like, as outgoing as I am and I love to communicate, I don't want to talk about the weather. I don't want to talk about surface level things. I love deep level connection. And so I feel like, generally people are already talking and you're standing there and you're looking at these 2 women talking or 3 women or men, whatever it is. And you were taught that that's rude to interrupt people. So now how do I go up there and just be like, hey guys, or you're standing over their shoulder. That's also rude. When am I waiting for the right opportunity time to be like, hey guys, I'm Gina. That part is awkward. And I'm not a fan of that part. Not at all.
How about you? It's funny you say that because I always introduce people. I hate when I'm like at an event. Sometimes I over introduce people. When I lived in LA, I had my one friend. I'd always be out seeing him at the bars, and I'd introduce my friends like 5 times. He's like, Coop, I met this guy like 5 times. And I hate when you're just standing there and there's someone and then I'll go, oh, by the way, Gina, do you know Marlie? I hate that, and I think that's rude. It's not you trying to jumping in the conversation. I think them not introducing is rude. But that's my take on it. Yeah. Marlie, what do you not like about networking?
I mean, I love networking. I think the one thing that I guess dislike would be the time commitment, even though I love to commit my time to it. It's more just, a lot of these events happen after work, and a lot of the time you have a busy day. You want to go home, you want to experience that work-life balance, and it can be kind of stressful and tiring sometimes to go to so many events. But I find that it's always rewarding once you finally get there and you're like, you know what, I'm getting over this tired hump from the end of the day, and I'm going to go to this event and I'm going to network with some people. And then I feel my energy just fill back up. So it's 11-8.
All right. Well, there you go. How about you, Jacqueline? Because I keep calling you Jackie and Jacqueline. I was calling you Jackie when I met you at the Soundplex. But and Jacqueline sounds much more professional. And I think Gina Marie, I keep thinking Tina Marie, which was not only ginger, but there was a singer named Tina Marie, Teena Marie in the 80s. And she was good. Jacqueline, what is something you don't like about networking?
Well, I would say we've probably all gone to at least one of these. That's going to be my explanation. I would say the groups where there's like 40 or 50 people and we go around the room and everyone does their 30-second elevator pitch. When it is that many people, that is not a good use of time. You can't even remember who, like the people that you wanted to talk to, because you're hearing so many all at once. And if you're last and you don't like public speaking that much, you're now just focused on your inner dialogue of like trying to know what you're going to say and having the moment that it's finally going to come to you, you're just thinking about that and you're not listening to what's happening in the room, or at least that's how I've been in the past. So I tend to not even go to those anymore. I'm like, this is not a format I enjoy. It feels very forced. I like something more organic happening. So that's probably my least favorite networking experience.
Or it's just you're about to say your spiel. They bring the food out, and everyone's
and
like,
then no one pays
they're like, oh, fuck that. We got a steak, Okay, this is great. Time's up almost. We're going to have final question of the day. I always end with this question because I love the insight I get from people, and I love the wisdom that people share. I love that. I just love that. And that's why one of the reasons I love the show is just because I get so many different viewpoints. Let's say someone comes up to you. They could be anywhere in their life. We've all changed careers, different things like that. And, it could be getting out of college. It could be changing career. And they're looking to you as a mentor. Okay. What advice, Marlie, what advice do you give someone if someone comes up to you and looking at you in a mentor capacity, trying to figure out how things work? What is the advice you give them?
Yeah. I would say, as a mentor, it's really about that discipline. Understanding yourself and your limitations as well. Having that discipline to, excuse me, learn a new skill or kind of dive into a new profession is scary. And I think that having that motivation and just that mindset to be like, you know what, no, I can do this. I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to maybe study every night, or I'm going to look into certain, new laws or new opportunities. Maybe you're applying for a new job. It's more about just being consistent and having that discipline and being like, you know what, I got this, having that good mindset.
Okay. How about you, Gina? What would you, as a mentor, if you're in a mentor position, what would you tell someone?
I would tell them to invest in themselves, to heal themselves so that they can get out of their own way, to learn how to trust themselves, because nobody knows how to trust themselves and listen to themselves, because when we're growing up, we're always taught you're doing that wrong, do it this way. You're listening to teachers, authority figures. And so you doubt yourself. And so you live in this internal battle constantly. Am I doing it right? Did I say the right thing? When people go to bed at night and lay down, they're not recapping all the things that they successfully done. They're thinking about how could I have had this conversation better or different or done more? And so it's really about learning to heal yourself and love yourself so that you can trust yourself and show up the best you in your job or profession or life.
Okay. How about you, Jacqueline?
I've actually had this experience recently with about an 18-year-old, like the 18 to 21 group. And I've been telling them, don't feel like you're supposed to have it figured out or even know what you're really planning to do yet. You really haven't had enough life experience to know yet. Don't think that the path, your path is going to look like anyone else's path. And don't think that it's supposed to be linear, because it may not be. That's my best advice as a mentor.
Okay, this was great. I really appreciate you all coming on. Marlie, how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can get in touch with me on LinkedIn. You could also get in touch with me via email at mstock@workplacehcm.com. And I can also share my contact information if that's helpful.
All right, great. How about you, Gina? How can people get in touch with you?
wickedwealthywoman.com, hello at Wicked Wealthy Woman, and Gina Marie Coach on the socials.
And Jacqueline?
Inzpire, but spelled with a Z, .agency is our web address. J Renan, my last name, at Inzpire Creative is my email, and Jacqueline Renan on LinkedIn.
And Joe, how can people find out about the Contap and Suite Recording?
Hey, Coop. Okay, so Contap.
You're echoing again. The hell is that shit? I feel like I'm talking to God. Steve, this is your father. No, come on. What? You're echoing.
Okay, that should be better, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Still working out a few bugs here. Contap, CONNTAP.com. That's the cool little, key fobs and wristbands, and you can tap to share and connect and all that good stuff. That's CONNTAP.com. Suite Recording is SUITE recording.com. I know it's like a spelling bee, but just try to keep up. Or you can just contact me on LinkedIn. I'd love to talk. I'm always at networking events as well, so I'll see you there. But thanks, Coop.
Okay, and people, you can reach out to me at the Coop Tank at yahoo.com. Just hit me up. I do coach people in hosting a podcast. I know how to do it. I moderate events. I just moderated something for the Rowan Jersey College, wherever it was down there in Sewell. I can moderate. I also, if you need someone, a comedian or a host for a party, at the end of this month, April 26th, I think. It's the last Saturday. I'll be performing at Tony Roney's Dave's Comedy Show. Go check that out. Also, follow me on LinkedIn. I always post when I'm at the Soundplex. I run Comedy Corks and Connections. I run that once a month, and I have probably 3 new comedy rooms opening up for the hell of it. And so, yeah, that's about it. Go on. Follow us on YouTube. Look at the Coop Tank. I want to thank these wonderful guests today. And it was great streaming. Next week, we'll be back at 11:30 with 3 brand new guests, another all-female panel. So you all have a wonderful weekend, and thanks for watching.
Thank you.